Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask Talk Show Podcast Live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, I always appreciate you all tuning in and spreading the word about Just Ask. Now, today is another very special program for us, which is actually, we'll say, a part two to a situation that we need to take a deep look at, ladies and gentlemen. When I say a deep look at, that means that from the past to the present to the future, this will affect each and every person who will sustain some type of auto injury. So this is another segment of the catastrophic funds issue. This has been on the table for a while. And so I have three ladies here today that want to tell us about their particular role in the program that they're a part of, which is called We Can't Wait. So what I want to do is bring these ladies in, let you hear the stories, the situation, and be mindful. Spread the word. Pass this video on. Pass the word on to someone that you know, whether it's a family member or a friend who have sustained an injury, an auto injury, and their benefits are about to be affected. Now, when I say they're going to be affected, those who already have injuries, their benefits are being taken away. Those who should sustain injuries in the future, your benefits will be limited. And you need to know and why is this happening. So without further ado, I want to bring in these three ladies. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good. Now, I want to introduce you, ladies, and then by all means, I want you to tell us a little about yourself. So I see we have Peg Campbell, Maureen Howe, and Jennifer Carr. Good afternoon, ladies. Thank you for joining us. Okay, don't be afraid to talk. I can hear you, and the public can see you. All right, so I want to start off with Peg Campbell. I know that you are the creator of this particular site on Facebook called We Can't Wait. So can you tell us about yourself and how did you come about creating this particular site?
Yeah, well, I created the site for a couple of reasons. The first one is my sister is an auto crash survivor. And we were in a rollover accident about 20 years ago. I walked away from the accident. She had a spinal cord injury and she was injured from the chest down. And although it was traumatic and devastating, with the no-fault auto insurance, she was able to get the therapies and assistance that she needed to recreate her life. She rebuilt her life by going back to school. She got a PhD and she's teaching in a university. And the second, she's also living by herself with the assistance of her nurses 24/7. And so I was very concerned in 2019 when the governor signed the bipartisan no-fault reform bill, because she said, I know it's not perfect, but it could be fixed. And without a change, the assistance that people receive has been cut by 45% for their attendant care, their therapies, and many other vital services. So my sister and I were watching for a fix, and many lawmakers have signed bills that were sent to the insurance committees in the House and Senate, where they're now sitting because the chairwomen for these committees refuse to have these bills heard. So we were furiously writing letters to lawmakers. And in April, we started saying, hey, we're not hearing anything about anybody else doing anything. There's nothing on the news. Do the 18,000 people who are receiving care through the Catastrophic Fund realize what's going on? And so we thought the best way to be able to find out was to start a Facebook page. Okay. And so we started We Can't Wait. And as they say, if you build it, they will come. And we now have 7,000 members.
Wow,
and
that's a lot.
We've been very busy. We've written thousands of letters. We've held rallies and picketed, and we go to the Capitol weekly and participate in lawmakers' coffee hours. So we do everything we can to get attention. And Boy, we've been successful because we've had over 500 media hits with newspaper articles and TV news broadcasts.
Great.
And in June, an Amicas brief was filed by and signed by 73 lawmakers who said when they signed the law, they had no idea that the survivors would not be grandfathered in.
So that's where we are now, is working on getting them grandfathered in.
Grandfathered in, yeah.
Okay.
Because they were promised benefits for life.
Right. And that's the excuse me, that's the critical point about this program itself, is that if we don't let people know about this issue on the table, and people can't be grandfathered in, and then this particular component can't be amended, then everybody will lose their benefits. Okay. All right. So let me go over here to Maureen Howe. Hi, Maureen. How are you doing?
Hi, Marcia. I'm fine. Good. Thanks so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. And I know you and Peg Campbell collaborate on the We Cant Wait site. So tell me, what's your role and your involvement with this?
Well, when Peg wanted to start this, I was very happy to join because I'd already been attempting to do a different group that wasn't as successful as Peg. Peg's a little more determined, I think. And I thought, what can I do to help? And so I had a prior history with my husband being a state rep in the past. And I had Sam and I, my son who was injured, decided we'd go to the Capitol and see what was going on. We had gone in front of the insurance committees twice before when insurances were attempting to change auto no fault. And we had testified, and many other survivors and providers were there, and we were successful in keeping auto no fault. Twice before, citizens have voted on keeping auto no fault, and higher than 60% of people wanted to keep it. At this moment, you have choices whether you need to have unlimited or other levels of coverage should you get hurt. 70-80% still want unlimited. They still want auto no fault.
Correct.
Unfortunately, the unlimited care that we received isn't there anymore. So many providers have gone out of business, and so many providers are not taking auto no fault patients any longer, that we are having a very difficult time getting care for these people who need it to survive. In addition, they've also sliced, as I know Chalise had mentioned, sliced the hours that family can cover to 56 hours a week or 8 hours a day. And it's causing havoc. People are not doing well. They're ending up in nursing homes. One big horror of all of this is that it's not just going to affect survivors today. Like you said, it's going to affect people that get injured in the future. But in addition to that, anyone who requires rehab in Michigan is not going to see the rehab they had before. And so if you have a stroke, if you have someone that has a stroke, we did not realize how lucky we are in this state. And Michigan's known for the mitten, and it's known for the wonderful asset of having this freshwater Great Lakes. But our other asset was auto no fault. We were the best in the nation. And somehow it got spun when they were attempting to change auto no fault. It got spun to be the reason insurance costs were so high in Michigan. That's not true. If you still get unlimited, your price is actually going to go up because now you also have a liability risk. So if you cause someone else to have a catastrophic injury, like a traumatic brain injury or a spinal cord injury, they have the potential of suing you. And even if, like us, we got a $3 million umbrella and the highest liability we could get, but you hurt someone in that manner, it's a chronic, lifelong condition, and it costs multi-millions of dollars to care for them. And so people are going to find themselves on the hook.
Right.
They're all going to find that they don't get the care they need to recover. Blue Cross doesn't provide it, Medicare doesn't provide it, and Medicaid doesn't provide it. That all happens in acute care. Once you get home, you do not get the services that you need to recover from that drastic.
And a lot of people are not realizing that until they actually have an accident. Once they have an accident, and I hate to say it, it's like welcome to the club. So when your involvement becomes closer to home, whether it's you or a family member, it's eye-opening to know that something has happened and you have no control over it, where you thought that you were paying to your insurance companies, your premium to get services in case something happens to you. And now this new bill is in effect, lets you know that it's not. You're not covered. But ladies, let me go to Jennifer Carr here. And Jennifer, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, and glad to have you aboard. So, Jennifer, I know that you're RN and you cover a lot of areas. So, tell us about yourself and your role. I see your company, Diversified Healthcare Management. So, tell us about that and your role.
Yes, I'm a registered nurse and Diversified Healthcare Management Consultant. We are a company that provide case management services for the auto catastrophic injured individual. We also provide home care services. We provide services such as coordinating various discipline, whether they're specialists, diagnostic testing, transportation, or alternative living if they're unable to return to home. We, coordinate the services so they will have a barrier-free living space. That goal is to prevent them from going into a nursing home where they can recover faster and also have a more productive life when they're.
So you guys are greatly affected by this bill.
Yes, and what we're finding is that because of the changes in the bill, a lot of these services that were provided for these patients prior to this new bill are now taken away from them. So patient, that has the capacity to recovery, say they may have gained 80% of their pre-injured state. Now they are at risk for not gaining any type of recovery because once they discharge from the hospital, they go home and they have no therapy services because therapy services, the reimbursement rate, the insurance company cut the reimbursement rate by 45%. So you find that the companies are not providing the services because it impacts their bottom line. They are paying out more for the services to provide the services than they're getting return from the insurance company. The reimbursement from the insurance company has decreased by 45%. Some insurance company have decreased it greater than 45%. So because of that, a lot of home care companies have closed down. They are no longer providing skilled services. Skilled services include skilled nurses, and physical therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists. A lot of spinal cord patients require skilled nurses to do what we call straight catheterization. That means they're unable to pass their urine. Therefore, you must straight cath them. Some people can have a Foley catheter. However, most spinal cord, we do not recommend that because of the infection rate with the Foley catheter where they can get sepsis. So it's better to straight cath them.
So Jennifer, let me ask you this. So and any of you ladies can answer this, but do you guys see that all that what you're saying today had not been considered when they signed this bill? Do you think that these people who are in our legislature they don't either have a person they know that is spinal cord injury or disabled or anything, that they didn't see this coming?
They did not take into consideration the impact this will have on the community. Not just the injured person, but the family member who are now become caregivers because if the healthcare provider are pulling out because they're not getting paid, and the family member now has to quit their job to take care of the people at home. They did not consult with any medical person. If they had consulted with caregivers, the family members, the caregivers, the physicians, they would get a different answer. They would get more information. This was done behind closed door, and no one had addressed this. And I am taking it from I'm looking at it from the side as what you call genocide. It's like, are we trying to get rid of the disabled population? That's how I take it to heart, is that because majority of these people are going to die. If a person is not straight cathetering in 4 hours and their bladder is distended, they can develop what they call dysreflexia. Autonomic dysreflexia. It's a way that your body your spinal cord, the compression of your full bladder and the spinal cord causes the nerve to trigger the sensation where the blood pressure can get so high that they can have a heart attack, they can have a stroke and die.
Now, let me say this. I didn't mean to cut you off, Jennifer, but let me say this. Now, this show is Facebook Live, so a lot of people are going to see this today, and hopefully they will take a stance. I mean, I'm asking our viewers, don't just listen to what these ladies and gentlemen have said or are saying. Take a stand, because you could be the next person to sustain an injury, and then you don't want to die just because there's no benefits to take care of you or there's no family member. I mean, we got to look at it differently now, and I'm upset about it because I too am a survivor of a hit and run car accident, and I have a plate in my neck with 13 screws. And there's days that I don't feel good. My back hurts, spasms. There's a lot. But I was trying to be determined to keep going. But that doesn't mean I don't have physical therapy. I have physical therapy. I have pain injections, all that. And I'm just grateful that I am partially as well as I can be. But I hurt to know that these bills were designed for us to support us in a way that the family member cannot do this alone. And then someone comes along and says, oh, we need to do some change in here, without considering the bigger picture of how many people are affected. And this does sound and appear to be a sign of genocide. It does. Yeah. Because there's no way you can get around it. And this has nothing to do with race. This has to do with a population of people who are in need of services. And how do we get to that we can't give people services? Where are we going wrong? So let me ask this question. So, Peggy, I see you have a question. Well, I have a question for you. Why should the general public care about the auto reform? Why should they care about the auto no-fault reform?
You have both you and Maureen have touched on this, because the benefits aren't there. Auto reform gave people a choice of 6 different levels of insurance, and even the top level that they say is unlimited is now limited. And you can't get the care you need because providers have gone out of business because they can't sustain a business with the 45% cut. And it's really genocide. It's a humanitarian crisis. We know 4 people have died, but that's the only ones we know about.
Right.
Out of 18,000 people, we know that there have to be more. So like Maureen said, you now have to get an umbrella policy and pay the most you can for the underinsured and uninsured, and it's not going to be enough. So if you're in an accident, you're not going to get the care you need. And I have a friend who just had a bicycle accident. He has a spinal cord injury, and he doesn't have auto insurance, and he can't get the care that he needs because nobody's there.
And and to tell you the truth, you're already upset that you are injured. You're grateful to be alive, and then you're just asking for assistance to continue your life. And how can you continue your life as best if you can't get services or support? And everybody doesn't have family members. You might be a single child, your parents are up in age, or your parents are deceased. Well, who do you go to next? The nursing homes are not what I call state of the art to send everybody to. They're not fully trained, or I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to, because you could go to a facility and find out that what services your loved one needs might not be applied at that location. Then you're back to square one, and it's frustrating. Then you got to, quit your job or somehow work new hours. And the show that we did just 2 weeks ago with one of the ladies, Shalise Wilson, she was a caregiver for her brother, and how she had to, reprogram her whole life just to make sure that she can help out with his situation and still maintain a life of her own with a working capital. Now that's bad. That's bad enough. That is really bad. So, Maureen, let me ask you a question. So when you go to the Capitol, what is the pivotal point there when you go there and you guys rally? I mean, is anybody listening? There's dates and times that people should go?
When we first went there, what we found was that we had to educate because many of our legislature believed we were grandfathered in. In addition, insurance agents were telling survivors, don't worry about it. It's not going to affect you. You're grandfathered in. Then suddenly we found out we weren't. And so Sam and I were going every session day initially, and we started bringing many survivors that would come, and it was very hard for them to get there, people who were paralyzed. And they'd have to get up hours early to be able to make it with all they had to do. And then providers started coming in. So we have had quite a crowd. And now every Tuesday, anyone that wants to come to the Capitol about this is welcome to come. And we go and we pull out legislators to talk to them. We are attempting to have inroads with the governor, and we know that many of these people didn't know what they were signing. If you go to a podcast that is connected to us, it's called Silent Crash. It tells you all the nitty gritty dirt behind it all. And Silent it talks Crash. About a lot of survivors. You want to see that. It's very well done. And it tells you, and it's been fact checked and everything. It tells you what went on, and then it's telling you individual people. I think the most recent one was about Senator Shirkey, who has persistently blocked any kind of reform to help these survivors. He won't do it.
Okay.
Did you know also 50%, almost 50% of our veterans that are catastrophically injured or injured in car accidents, and they are not receiving the care they need, just FYI.
Okay. Now, Jennifer, I know you got some good stuff to tell us here. So, I mean, I know your agency has to be deeply affected by this. So where are you at now with the services that you're providing? I mean, are you at 50%, 20%? So where are you at now with your level of service?
Well, we continue to provide the services to our existing clients. We're not receiving payment for about 30% of them, and another 50% of them, we're only receiving 45%. A lot of our clients we have a lot of children, 3-year-old baby, 16-year-old, we have 14-year-old children, 10-year-olds. So, they're parents who also have other children that they're dealing with within the home. So we don't feel, I don't know how long we can keep this up without payment, but to walk away and leave them without any resources is heartbroken for us. My staff have been putting in a lot of extra additional hours without payment. We have been reaching out to resources such as food banks and different places to assist them with financial services or food, because they have to cut their hours at work so they can provide care for the family at home.
Well, that's good that you guys are still, doing the services as best as you can. But, we're going into a new year. New situations are going to be taking place, and we need to make people aware now so that when the new year unfolds, people will help make the decision. I mean, I don't care if a person, and I shouldn't say I don't care. I feel as though whether you are a person with an injury or not, you need to support the changes in this bill so that you know that you, as well as your family or as your neighbor, whoever it is that you care about, will be covered. Because if not, God forbid, it doesn't mean who and it doesn't mean when. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time that these things will take place. I wanted to post this flyer you guys have here. It's really nice. And just, seeing that young child in a wheelchair lets me know that the decision that the legislature has made had not and could not have been possibly considered about the future of our children who have been injured in auto claims or anything like that, and children who have survived such injuries. What are we telling them, for the future? What are we saying? That, your parents just got to take care of you and that's the best we can do. You're a small child that was injured somehow and you're, a wheelchair user, paraplegic, quadriplegic, but you don't know that your parents can be there all the time. And that's the purpose of having a full, complete clinical staff with the family so that the family can be taught some of these things, but the family can't do everything. The family just can't do everything.
Also that we have to take into consideration is that if the clinical staff is not there to provide the service because the insurance company refused to pay at a reasonable rate, and the family now has to quit their job to take care of their loved one, they're going to lose income. So we have family losing their home, they're losing their car, so they're going on welfare. And so it's you have where 6 of one, half dozen of the other, because they have no income to pay their bills. So their lights are shutting off. They have no gas to put in the car to drive. So they're pushing these people further and further down into poverty.
Yep.
This is America.
This is turning into a
better services for the people in auto accident than the United States. This is ridiculous because, I have an employee right now. She is a home health aide. Her insurance with Progressive for her and her husband is $12,000 a year under this new law.
That's bad.
$12,000 a year, and she lives in Detroit. And the 2 cars that they have do not worth $10,000. So is that fair? And I saw my Duggan yesterday.
No, it's not. But ladies, I hate to interrupt because I know we're on the roll here, and a lot of wonderful information has been covered. I'm going to ask, will each and every one of you come back and join us? I mean, you can come back individually, you can come back as a group, but will you come back and see us again?
You bet.
Would love to.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate having all 3 of you on board, and we're going to do our best to get this word out, okay? So hopefully one second. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. But please help get the word out about this catastrophic funds that's going to affect everyone, not just me, not just these ladies' family members here, but everyone. Take in consideration sharing the word and passing this video on if you see it on Facebook. And if any other information you need, you can always go to us at 1-800-323-5336, and we'll connect you to anyone you want to see. I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask, and what do I always say? If you have a question about a person with a disability, or if you just have a general question, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. I'm your host. See you next time.
What do you think? I'm too passionate.